don't have to have this kind of things going on in our land, but they are nowhere because they don't have any authority. So rule of law can only be established when there is the government is of the people. When the government is not of the people, you can't expect rule of law from outsiders to establish there.
Okay, Farag bhai, I think we can argue about this. This is a long
Yeah.
kind of a discussion. It won't
Yeah.
go. At this point in time, I think again condolences to the family. I know their life is changed
Absolutely.
forever.
We share these condolences, we all three, and many Kashmiris and almost whole Kashmir and humanity will definitely, uh, sh- I mean, feel sad about it, and like we all are, that this thing is really not acceptable in a civilized society.
I want to ask one last question to both of you, if you can please respond back uh, without going into the, further diving into the history. All I'm trying to understand at this time that who do you all think, in as Kashmiri, who do you all think is behind this attack? I'm not saying that you are an investigative journalist. Based on your experience, based on what you have seen in the past, why the timing is such, then the vice president of the country of one of the most affluent country in the world is visiting on Indian soil, and all of a sudden this heinous crime has been committed to gain what?
No,
Is it, is it
yeah,
Pakistan army? Let me finish.
you will
Is it
you the to gain is that okay? India will gain out of it sympathy, and India will gain that yes, he is doing right in keeping the armed forces there and fighting Islamic terrorism. That is the benefit to India. As you see that everybody is saying that well, this is bad. Of course, it is bad, and Pakistan, on the other hand, will say that, okay, this is an Islamist movement, which is part of the two nation theory, and Kashmiris are doing it. It will not take the blame on itself, but it will support Kashmiris, which Kashmiris have not done this. Kashmiris are not part of it, right? So this is everybody gains from it. And China is sitting on the bench, seeing that, okay, let them fight it. I have my land.
hmm.
Okay,
So
so everybody is, but for the sake of having the political bags of votes, both countries will blame each other and continue. This will continue. That
so
is why international community, if they have interest, I hope they generate interest with the advent of President Trump coming, who is looking for peace all around the world, looks at this place also and sees that well, this needs to be resolved. There are three nuclear powers around it. I mean, it can anytime go berserk.
so
So all of them are benefiting, and they know each other.
you know
Both ISI knows, RAW knows, and who's our this Chinese.
So, Musa, you see, there's a political twist to it. There was one Italian citizen and one Israeli citizen was among the victims of this attack. So, so this was something that, do you think, was orchestrated by the agencies and
No,
both
no,
sides
you
of
never know. That's why it should come to fore. Somebody, it should not be India because they are going to say, somebody in Indian media was saying that hey, this is something like what Hamas has done in Israel, so we should do the same thing to Kashmiris. You know,
the.
that is one of the Indian media anchors was saying that, oh well, this is something analogous to what has happened on 7th October in Israel. So we should do the same thing. Our response should be, are you going to kill Kashmiris for this, who do not know anything about it?
But there are Indian media that has outrightly blaming Pakistan. I'm going to take a Rakesh Saab on this answer. So Rakesh Saab, do you think this was a friendly match between Ra and ISI?
So, Mujeeb Sahab, we will be not between raw and ISI, but we will be living in a delusion world. If we don't understand it, it's not. It's obviously very apparent and very clear who is behind this. It's Pakistan, right? They are orchestrating this. They are doing it.
For
Now
what?
the question is for government of India what they are doing. Have they taken lessons from 1990? Are they doing
Rakesh ji,
anything about it?
Rakesh ji, I would let you have all the time to respond. My question is, what Pakistan is trying to gain out of this when the current government in Pakistan, current regime, has the lowest approving rate on the ground. The army chief is probably the most hated one on the country. Why would he try to create some situation on the border when he is already at the lowest level of approval from the government, from the people of Pakistan?
So Mujeeb sir, we have to understand when you nourish a monster, right? It's not always to. It won't be always within your control,
Hmm.
right? So they
Okay.
don't go follow the orders all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So
Okay.
that is where we need to understand this is not something which is sustainable, which should happen. It will be
Okay.
catastrophic eventually. So we have to address the problem statement. That's what I am saying.
Okay.
So India has to come out of this delusion of normalcy and the propaganda of normalcy. They have to understand the fundamental issue, what's going on there. Okay, Farooq Saabs, if you look at the history of Kashmir, maybe there are 10 or 12 elections that have happened, including the recent one. People voted, they put a government, right? So when we say they don't have right, that kind of a thing, we have to be like little bit sensitive and understand it holistically. What is the next step?
No,
You have
Rakesh,
uprooted
Rakesh Saab, you,
miserably.
both you and me, or anybody in Kashmir knows that it is not a government that has any control. You can't have a civilian government when the reins of power are under governor, lieutenant governor.
I understand that. I agree with
Then you
you.
can't, you can't have control over the security system of when 500, 600, 700, or 800, whatever the numbers are, the security personnel are there who are directly not under your control. So you can't run a civilian government there. You can't run a civilian government when you have certain laws under which army has authority over any of the civil proceedings. So
So, Farooq sir,
these are not, you know, that's why I said in my earlier in the show that there are smoke screens thrown by India, by Pakistan, by I mean I while I say this, I also say that Kashmir is not a two-nation theory, is not part of two-nation theory. It has nothing to do with this. But at the same time, India saying that this is my own integral part, Pakistan saying it is my jugular vein, these are all semantics. These are all semantics, and world has to understand this. I am not sure why world does not interfere it. Probably because these two countries are sucking the blood of their own citizenry to make some money, and then making the arms deals with the West and others, and keeping their population. 40% of Pakistan is under poverty line, about more than 380 million people in India under poverty line, and then they talk of huge things that we are going to moon and.
Farooq Sab and Rakesh ji, I
Thank you.
apologize that I have to end it right there. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
very
you.
much.